It began as what seemed like a simple royal tradition, a grandfather sending birthday wishes to his granddaughter. But in the royal family, nothing is ever simple, especially when the message comes from King Charles, and the granddaughter in question is Princess Charlotte, Prince William and Princess Catherine's only daughter, and the very image of Princess Diana. On the morning of Charlotte's 9th birthday, the royal family's official social media accounts posted the usual tribute, a charming photo of the young princess smiling in a garden, accompanied by warm words from her parents. But later that afternoon, something completely unexpected happened. King Charles issued a personal statement, unusually emotional for the typically reserved monarch. He wrote, "Charlotte inherited her grandmother's strength, brilliance, and kindness. Every time she walks into a room, she isn't just the future of our family, she's its heart." The reaction was immediate. The press called it one of the most touching royal remarks since Diana's passing. Online, the post exploded, millions of likes, endless shares, and a tidal wave of discussion. But one person stayed conspicuously silent: Queen Camilla. According to palace insiders, she was furious. To her, the king's public praise for a child who was not biologically hers, and the renewed invocation of Diana's name, reopened old wounds and stirred private tensions. Charles had drawn a public line between his past and present, and this time, he did it in Diana's granddaughter's honor. The day had started like any other royal celebration. Charlotte's official birthday photo, her in a light blue dress framed by spring blossoms, earned praise from the media and adoration from the public. Hashtags like #Princess Charlotte and #MiniDiana trended almost instantly. But hours later, Clarence House released the king's message, a note brimming with affection and nostalgia. "Beloved Charlotte," it read, "you remind me of someone I cherished deeply, your grandmother Diana. You carry her brightness, her compassion, her courage. The way you stand up for those you love and face the world with open eyes warms my heart. You are the future of our family and its beating heart. With love, Grandpa." The press interpreted it as the most revealing glimpse into Charles's emotions in decades. Some saw it as a quiet apology, an olive branch extended not only to Charlotte but to Diana's legacy, and perhaps to William and Kate. Yet just as telling was what the message left out. No mention of Camilla, no nod to the blended family the palace has worked hard to present, no reference to Camilla's own grandchildren, often highlighted in the modern monarchy narrative. For a moment, it seemed Charles had stepped out of the present royal arrangement and back into a vision of the family that the public has never truly let go of. Diana, William, and a young future queen. But before we continue, we'd love for you to hit the subscribe button if you're enjoying this video. If you just did, we truly appreciate it. Now, let's get back to the main content. The fallout was swift, the conversations endless, and the palace once again found itself caught between two worlds, the one it has built and the one people still remember. Was King Charles's message a heartfelt tribute to Diana's legacy, a quiet rebuke to Camilla, an act of remorse, or a calculated move to position Charlotte as a central figure in the monarchy's future? Whatever the motivation, the effect was undeniable. Charlotte was suddenly at the heart of the royal conversation. Kate Middleton, ever composed, appeared at a charity event later that evening. When asked if she had seen the king's words, she smiled warmly but with a trace of restraint, replying, "We're very touched." Privately, however, the moment carried weight. It wasn't just the mention of Diana, it was what it signified for her daughter's future. Kate has always been careful to protect Charlotte from the harsher realities of royal life, but she also understands the value of legacy. Charles's words had just made Charlotte the most emotionally celebrated Windsor since Diana herself. William, according to insiders, had read the statement before it was released. Some say it brought him to tears. Others say he kept his reaction measured to avoid it being seen as a political move. Either way, he gave his blessing, and in royal terms, that speaks volumes. The storm, however, brewed not in public, but behind palace walls. Queen Camilla read the message and immediately recognized that it was about more than Charlotte. It was about exclusion. By directly connecting Diana's legacy to Charlotte, Charles had left Camilla out entirely. Within hours, the atmosphere at Clarence House shifted from celebration to tension. While the public praised the king's touching words, Camilla's reaction was swift and unfiltered. Palace sources say she took it personally, calling it unforgivable to a senior aide. She believed the king had reopened an old wound on a global stage. For decades, she had worked to reshape her image as the stabilizing force in Charles's life after Diana's death. And now it felt as if all of that had been undone by a 9-year-old girl and the memory of the woman she replaced. In the days that followed, Camilla canceled scheduled appearances, including a literacy event and a charity dinner. Photographers noted her absence from public view. Behind closed doors, staff were instructed to filter any media about Princess Charlotte before it reached her. It wasn't just about the king's praise. It was about the painful reality that Diana's bloodline had once again been placed above her own legacy. Camilla has long fought to be accepted, but this moment drove home a truth she couldn't ignore. To many, she would always be the outsider, the step-grandmother, the woman who came after. And for Charles, Charlotte's presence seemed to stir emotions he couldn't hide. For some royal watchers, the message was just a grandfather's affectionate note. For others, it was a glimpse into Charles's lingering guilt and the shadow he has never escaped, Diana. Her absence still shapes his actions, his words, and now his relationship with Charlotte. In her, he sees not only his granddaughter, but also a reflection of the young woman he met decades ago, full of promise, charm, and courage. To Charles, Charlotte is a second chance, not to raise but to protect, to offer the support and devotion he failed to give Diana. Camilla knows that Charles's warmth toward Charlotte isn't just grandfatherly affection. It's laced with penance. For all his titles and ceremonial power, Charles has never truly been forgiven, not by the public, not by Diana's supporters, and perhaps not even by himself. His message to Charlotte was more than sentimental. It was a deliberate attempt to reclaim Diana's legacy on his own terms, honoring her through the one person who could carry her spirit forward. But guilt carries a cost. Each tender word about Charlotte deepens the rift between Charles and Camilla. Every nod to Diana's light feels like a rejection of Camilla's role. For Charles, moments with Charlotte might bring relief. For Camilla, they signal a reckoning, proof that in the quiet battle for influence, Diana still wins. Charlotte isn't just his granddaughter. She is a living apology. And every time he smiles at her, Diana's presence lingers. When the king's letter was made public, all eyes turned to Kensington Palace. As expected, Princess Catherine handled the attention with her usual poise. The next day, when asked about the comments, she smiled and replied, "We're extremely moved. Charlotte is blessed to have her grandfather." Beneath that polished response, however, insiders sensed something deeper. Kate understands palace politics. For years, she has balanced tradition with a modern touch, quietly keeping Diana's legacy alive in her own way, through Charlotte's wardrobe choices inspired by Diana, by encouraging her daughter's confidence, and by instilling the calm dignity that defined the people's princess. She appreciated the king's public recognition of that legacy. Yet, privately, she hasn't forgotten the pain Diana endured, or Charles's role in it. Diana, to Kate, is more than a figure from the past. She's a guiding presence in how Kate raises her children. The king's message didn't just praise Charlotte. It positioned her as Diana's spiritual successor. For Kate, it brought both pride and pressure. She didn't respond with tears or celebration, but with strategy. Within days, Charlotte's image was everywhere, from official photos to candid paparazzi shots, subtly echoing Diana's early charm at public events. It wasn't revenge. It was a quiet reminder that Kate plays the long game, and she plays it well. As for Camilla, she has spent decades reshaping her public image, moving from tabloid villain to Queen of England. But there's one contest she can't win: the battle for Diana's bloodline. And now, that lineage has a new face. Charlotte's natural poise, her sparkle, and her effortless charm make her a favorite with the public. Every wave, every curtsy, every glance at a state event becomes a viral moment. For Camilla, this isn't just about popularity, it's about symbolism. Charlotte represents a pure, unbroken continuation of Diana's legacy, untouched by scandal and embraced without effort. In many ways, she embodies exactly what Camilla will never be able to claim: the future of the monarchy by both heritage and heart. Charlotte has already achieved what Camilla never could: unconditional public affection. Unlike Camilla's grandchildren, who largely remain out of the spotlight, Charlotte is being prepared for a future in plain view. Kate and William ensure she attends carefully chosen events, meets world leaders, and occasionally takes a position ahead of senior royals during official visits. Every image of her sends a clear message: here is the future, and not just any future, but one directly descended from Diana. Advisors say Camilla has grown more resistant to any discussion about Charlotte's role. In one private meeting, when staff suggested that Charlotte accompany her on a charity outing to highlight cross-generational ties, Camilla's sharp retort reportedly froze the room. The jealousy is unmistakable. She sees the press dubbing Charlotte the people's granddaughter, hears constant comparisons to Diana, and feels the spotlight she fought to claim slipping away. The harshest truth for Camilla is that she can't compete, not with Diana's memory, and now, not with Diana's grandchild. Charlotte needs no PR strategy, no calculated image makeover. She simply exists, and the public embraces her. The same public that will likely never forgive Camilla for her role in Diana's unhappiness. Camilla always feared Diana's legacy would overshadow her reign. She never expected that legacy to walk, talk, and curtsy in the form of a 9-year-old girl named Charlotte. In Buckingham Palace's gilded halls, where portraits of kings hang above silent corridors, a quiet shift is underway. It isn't happening through speeches or ceremonies, but in public perception. Charlotte has become a symbol of what the monarchy craves: continuity rooted in conscience, and a legacy carried forward through love. She is Diana's spirit, blended with Kate's resolve, moving with a grace beyond her years. When Charles looks at her, he sees hope, and so does the nation. His message to her wasn't just the warmth of a grandfather. It was a signal that some legacies cannot be erased by time, scandal, or royal decree. In Charlotte, the monarchy recaptures something it once had: a beating heart the public wants to follow. Camilla knows this. No matter how many causes she champions, jewels she wears, or waves she delivers from the palace balcony, she will never stir public devotion the way Charlotte already has. That realization may be the very thing that fractures her carefully maintained image. The monarchy's future will not be shaped by protocol alone. It will be defined by connection. It will hinge on who the people feel should lead, not simply who the crown appoints. And Charlotte, with her Diana-like gaze and Windsor lineage, isn't waiting for anyone's permission. The crown may not rest on her head yet, but in the eyes of the public, she already reigns.